Hi, this is Kate from beautifullyimperfect.net, and I've got April Pertuis with me here from Lightbeamers Community, which is an online platform for women to share their stories to help grow their business and their audience. Hi, April. How are you?
Uh, I'm so great, Kate. Thank you so much for having me and inviting me to be on with you.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here today. I'd like you to start, if you could, and just share a little bit of your background. I know you have a lot of experience in video production and news broadcasting, as well as some other things. So what can you share with us?
Yeah, well, I am just a lifelong, not even just career long, but I always say I'm a lifelong storyteller. I've been fascinated by stories. I think, you know, even different experiences that really left me consuming stories. I wrote a lot in my journal. I created stories a lot as a child, nothing that I ever shared with anybody. It was always in the privacy of my room. When my parents would have parties and have people over, I can remember just wanting to be in the room so I could listen to their stories. I found it fascinating. And that just really translated as I grew up and became an adult and trying to find what I wanted to do with my life. It really was figuring out a way to extract people's stories. So I became a journalist. I was in broadcasting the very beginning of my career and did television broadcasting, which was great. I learned a lot. It's definitely where I cut my teeth in the business and learned all that I needed to learn to really, that's carried me to where I am today. But there were things about broadcasting I did not like, especially the context that I was often, charged with going and telling certain types of stories that tended to be negative or sensational. And that didn't sit well with my soul because it wasn't really focusing on human nature and human stories. It was focusing on the hyper sense of that.
Sure.
And so eventually I left broadcast news and continued to find my way as a video storyteller, a video producer, a writer. And that ultimately led me to creating Lightbeamers Community and my business now, Lightbeamers, because I really wanted to create a platform where I could tell those types of stories. I could really focus on the human stories, the people's stories, and then more specifically, really teach other women how to pull the story out of themselves. Not everybody gets the, luxury, if you will, of having a video producer or a writer or a journalist sit to your house to say, hey, Kate, I want you to tell me your story and I'll put it all together for you.
Sure.
And so I wanted to create programs and a platform and a community where I could facilitate that process more for people individually. So this really works well for women in business who need to be out there connecting with their audience. It works well for, and I say women because I typically speak mostly to women, but of course it applies to everybody. But, women who have a message that they want to share, a mission that's heavy on their heart. Someone like you that's starting your blog and starting to get your work out into the world. Anyone that just has a cause, a mission, a message, a business, something that they're wanting to share, using your story is a really important way for you to connect with other people. So, just like now, I've shared a bit of my story, so it gives people a sense of a little bit of who I am, right? And just that journey that I've been on, because we all relate to those experiences, even though your audience may have never been a broadcaster, they can understand the process of finding yourself, finding your voice, finding that passion, doing what you love. And so that may resonate with them, even though they haven't, specifically walked in my shoes.
Sure. So telling that personal side of the business, a lot of people forget how important that is. And that often shares a purpose or a passion. What do you think one of the most important pieces of that story is in growing a business? Is there anything specific?
Yeah, the emotional connection. Anytime that you can share your story and incorporate, how does that make you feel? That's kind of one of my ongoing questions of people. Well, how did that make you feel? How does that make you feel? What does that feel like? And anytime you can share those feeling words
Mm-hmm.
That's going to allow your story to connect with other people on a deeper level, because we all come from different walks of life. We all, even many of us, speak different languages, right? That we don't understand each other from a linguistic standpoint, but we understand feelings. I mean, how many times have, you could watch a movie that has subtitles that you're not really able to listen to the language because it's not the language you speak. But when you see someone cry, or you see someone smile, or you see someone kind of, joyous and jumping up and down and they're excited, you understand that feeling.
Sure.
And so when you can share your story from a place of an emotional connection, emotional language, those are the things that are so important in figuring out how to share your story or stories of your business, your passion, your message, whatever they may be.
I love it. So what resources do you offer women to help them articulate their story?
Well, as you mentioned, I have an online community on Facebook called the Lightbeamers community that is free for anyone to join. And in that group, I try to facilitate space for them to explore their story, practice telling their story, or practice telling stories that are connected to, their bigger mission. We do a live streaming day on Wednesdays because I've worked in the world of video all of my career. I understand the power of video, and I want more people to embrace it because I feel like so many people are scared of it. It is intimidating. Not everyone has the background that I have. So I want to demystify that for them. So I create space where they can practice sharing their story on video using live streaming, because it's social media and that's the world we live in, mm-hmm. because that can translate into so many different platforms, not just Facebook. That actually helps increase people's public speaking ability. If they're planning to network at their local chamber of commerce, live streaming can actually help you do that, and I want them to make that connection. So we have an open live streaming day on Wednesdays where I'll, just open the floor basically for anyone that wants to practice. I do give a prompt, but you don't have to use the prompt, but I do give prompts. On my website, I've got free resources. There's a story formula that I share that's really popular that helps people understand the framework of how to tell their story, right? Because our stories are very large. I'm in my late 40s, so I've lived 40 years of experiences and a journey, but that's not what I need to tell everybody. I don't need to share that entire chronological timeline. So right. I need to identify what parts of my story are relevant to my audience, right? What do they need to know about me in order to trust me and want to feel like I'm somebody that maybe can help them with whatever it is? So that's a really important piece. And there's a simple storytelling formula that I have that's a free download, and you can find it, literally right at the front page of my website. That's a great one, a great place for people to start. Beyond that, I have online courses and programs and sort of coaching, opportunities if they need a little bit more hand-holding and support beyond that.
Okay, those are amazing tools. And on that note, do you consider yourself a business coach as well? Or
I would not normally say yes, because I don't identify that as like my title. But I do understand that I am, somewhat a business coach, because storytelling is a big part of people, something they should be incorporating into their business. So when you use it effectively, it does help you grow your business. It helps you build a stronger audience. It helps you expand your reach. And these are all things that businesses want to know how to do, right? I want to know how to do that. I've had to figure that out.
Right.
And so I do understand that what I'm teaching and what I'm helping people with is helping them grow their business. So there's an aspect of what I'm doing that I guess is business coaching, but I would not label myself as such because, more than anything, just because it's not how I identify. I just really see myself as someone who understands storytelling. I understand visual storytelling. I understand communication. I understand the dynamic. I understand human behavior. And so I've sort of wrapped all of that up into what I offer, but it is a part of business for sure.
Okay. All right. And I'm sure the depth of the story and just the building of the community itself really helps people collaborate and really, propel each other, I guess.
Oh my gosh, that's been one of the best and most surprising elements of me creating the Lightbeamers community and having women come in and join that conversation, because it's not just me talking, it's them sharing their stories. And as a result of them sharing their stories, then other people have been in the community witnessing that and watching and listening. And so then they said, oh my goodness, I need to connect with that person because I see an opportunity, or I would love to collaborate. And I get messages all the time. And this is the power of storytelling. This allows you to build those connections, because they can't possibly want to connect with you unless they know something about you.
Sure.
And so I get messages all the time from women in my community going, I just connected with the most amazing person also in the Lightbeamers community, and we're doing this together now. And I'm like, that's fantastic. That's because you showed up and you were willing to put yourself out there, because you can't be discoverable if you're just staying quiet and behind the scenes and playing small, honestly, so which is what a lot of us tend to do. So it's about pushing yourself outside your comfort zone to do things that may feel a little, awkward and uncomfortable at first, but the more you do it, then you start to reap the benefits of it, and then it feels really good.
It's so powerful. It's exciting.
It is so powerful.
So where do you see your business heading in the future?
Well, I am excited about the future, especially this year. I have implemented some things that are brand new. As you know, Kate, I'm doing an event in Dallas
Yes.
coming up in May that is really the first of its kind for me. I've decided to do a live event where members of my community, because we are a virtual community, we're on, a platform like Facebook, and we're kind of meeting in this virtual space. And as a result, we've got women in there from literally all over the world.
Yes.
And there's a beautiful thing that happens when you actually get to meet some of these people in person. And I wanted to, again, to kind of take it to the next level and create an opportunity where some of us, not all of us, will be able to do it because of location and logistics, but some of us could come together at any given time and meet. And so I am implementing a new thing into my business called storytelling symposiums. And I'm going to be creating more of these. The first one right now is being planned in Dallas, Texas for May 18th. So if any of your viewers would like to attend, I'm sure we can leave a link where they can find out more information. But
Absolutely.
That's going to be an opportunity for speakers. I have 5 speakers coming in to share their stories and really empower the audience to think about their own story and how they could be using it to create more connection in their own life and in their own business or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. And I'm just really excited about the opportunity for members of the community to meet, and then also new people to come into the community as a result of attending that. So that's going to be something that's new, and I do plan to expand those and bring more of them across the country. And then big vision stuff is definitely take them global.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
I'm excited.
Well, one of the things that drew me to you initially, I mean, I've known you for a long time, probably 6 or 7 years. We initially met in North Carolina when you were in Salem. But to this new venture of Lightbeamers is that it's so positive and it's so refreshing, and everything about it just feels good. And what you said about the feeling and how powerful and important that is. And it's just so much building up and not feeling that competition or that pressure. And I love that about what you've created. It's really amazing. So it was that, I imagine that was part of your business plan when you started.
Yes.
that was what you were looking to present.
It was what was a seed was planted in me all those years ago when I was working. And my dog is barking. I'm sorry. My husband has just come home. The garage door is open and my dog is excited. So she's sharing her emotion right now by barking.
There we go.
But that seed was planted in me all those years ago when I, was that news journalist having to go out and report on car wrecks and murders and death and destruction and doom and gloom. And I just didn't, it really did start to weigh very heavily on me, and my heart felt heavy. I couldn't breathe at the end of the day. I would go home at night. I had this extreme anxiety, and I felt like I couldn't catch my breath. I remember sighing these huge, deep sighs because I literally could not breathe.
Sure.
And my husband was like, "What is wrong with you?" And I was like, "I can't breathe," because it weighed so heavily on me that I was being a communicator of that.
Sure.
And I knew that what we needed to be talking about and what the news should be sharing was stories of hope, inspiration, positivity, goodness, and light. And I wanted to feel lighter. And that's where light, and the word Lightbeamers really came from, that was a very inspirational piece of my vision. And so, yes, it's been very intentional that I create a space that is only those things. I live that. That is how I am. I don't focus on negative things. I don't stay in a state of anxiety. Not saying I don't go there, but I have been very intentional about learning tools to incorporate in my own life when I feel heavy. I experience sadness. I experience anxiety. I experience all those things, but it's about how can I shift it? How can I shift out of that and then share that story? And here's the thing about people's stories that I think keeps people from sharing their story is because we all have experiences where we felt like we couldn't breathe, where we felt no end in sight, right? We just didn't understand how to get out of the mess. And when you focus only on those things, then it's hard to think about sharing that story because it is negative. But when you show people how to shift their vision and how to shift their perspective, and then share that prior, existence as a form of just showing others that I've been there and done that. I understand, but now this is where I am now. And I'm going to share my story as an illustration of you could also be moving through that experience too. We don't have to stay in this place of darkness. And so it's so much deeper than just sharing your story. It's really about personal development and community, as you said, lifting one another up. And it's a big piece of my business, and it was absolutely very intentional. And as I said, the seed was planted over 20 years ago to find a way to create that.
Well, you have definitely inspired me, and I'm so thankful for that. And I'm hoping that you can share with other women how they can get in touch with you and how they can find you on Facebook, and where else are you located?
Yes. My website is lightbeamers.com. So that's just kind of my hub. And like I said, on that website, you can go and download some of the free resources that I have on telling your story, getting more comfortable on video. Those are all there. My community on Facebook is the Lightbeamers community. It's a private group. So just look under groups and search for us, Lightbeamers community, and you'll see it and you can join. It's free. I am on Facebook, Instagram, both under the handle of Lightbeamers. And so you can find me on either page. I'm also on LinkedIn, just under my name, April Pertuis.
Thank you, April Pertuis, for being with me today of Lightbeamers. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
I'm so glad. Thanks, Kate. I'm so glad to hear that this has been helpful to you as you've learned to, expand your reach by doing what you're doing. And so that makes me really happy to know that you're being inspired by some of those things that we've done in the Lightbeamers community, and then you're taking them and putting them into action, which is awesome. That's what I want.
Absolutely, even with our video streaming today. So thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome. My pleasure.
Good day. Bye, April.
Thank you. Bye.